Hello, everyone. Two planets are changing signs. One, Mars, is really not such a big deal because it does all the time. I mean, if you consider Mars's motion, since its orbit takes 2 years, it approximately covers half a degree distance a day. So it stays in one sign for approximately 2 months. Sometimes it's faster, and then it covers a distance in like 6 weeks approximately. And there are interesting periods when all of a sudden it travels through a sign, goes retrograde, goes backwards, and travels again. And so it could actually stay in one sign for 6 months. So it has a curious orbit. And at the same time, Pluto, which has a 250-year orbit, is always a big news whenever it changes signs. And on the 23rd, it will leave Capricorn and move into Aquarius. And you see a lot of interesting things in both in Europe and in the United States. One big news is that they try to indict Donald Trump. If this happens, it will be interesting to see. But anyhow, and I understand, and I know I have a lot of friends who vote Democrat, and they believe that Trump is either the devil himself or the criminal. I'm not there, so and also I'm not meddling in any politics which is not mine. I'm very, very sad because 25 years ago, I told my American friends that I can see signs already since I lived in a socialist country, a communist country, a not free, undemocratic country for half my life. And I could see signs in the United States, which would, to me, signal that the state is going to turn into some sort of autocratic state. And I told them that actually in 20 years, you will turn into the Soviet Union, the new Soviet Union. And this is what is happening. And it is scary to me. But at the same time, it's none of my business. I will probably never go to the United States again, which is a shame. But I like being European. Sometimes empires go up and then down. Everything comes in cycles, so I'm sorry for my American friends, especially my best friend Jim, who also saw the signs and kept telling me that you told me that this is going to happen, but unfortunately it is. But again, you guys, you do it for yourself, so who am I to tell you what to do? So anyhow, you see that in the United States. At the same time, the war is still going on, and then in Germany, interesting things are happening because first of all, they just changed the voting system incredibly undemocratically in many ways. Read about it. You won't find it probably in mainstream media, but research it and you will find the details. And also a new Green Party wants to become a party, a new green group. These are complete crazies. The one that is already in power in Germany, they are just crazies a little bit. They are not violent. They are stupid. They are idiot. They are cretins. But this group is violent, and they are militant Greens. And so if this is happening, and of course, this is happening among the young people who are always revolutionary when they are young. Of course, that's their natural state. And that's what's happening when you see Pluto moving into Aquarius. Let's take a look at what is happening with the planets. I created a table for this. So on March 23rd, Pluto is moving into Aquarius. It becomes stationary retrograde on May 2nd. You can see that it barely moved because it went on, it's going to be stationary retrograde on 0 degrees 21. So it didn't even cover half a degree distance until then, and goes back into, retrogrades back into Capricorn on June 11th and stays there for the rest of the year. It becomes stationary direct on October 11th. You can see that it barely moved a little bit over 2 degrees and goes back into Aquarius and will stay there on January 21st. So that's what Pluto does. And the way I look at it, it really signals some sort of change. Of course, an era is changing, slowly unwinding, and a new one is coming into power. And if you go back and take a look at what happened 250 years ago, you can glean on what is going to happen as well. Aquarius is the sign of dogmatic theories. If you consider the three air signs, what we do is this: in the incarnating soul comes down to the earth plane, and in Gemini, it wants to gather information. That's what we do in Gemini. We just gather information. We are picking up information, bits and pieces of information. In Libra, we are creating relationships, all kinds of kinds of relationships and partnerships, not just romantic, any types, really. So we are interacting with other people. And in Aquarius, we are trying to create life dogmas, life theories, which make human life possible and beneficial. But at the same time, what happens when a theory becomes exact? It becomes a dogma. And when it becomes dogma, it becomes rigid. And actually, it can break the society apart when it's too rigid and unable to evolve or unable to change. And this is exactly what's usually happening with Aquarius, that by the time Aquarius realizes what he thinks is the truth, and of course, it is always a bird's eye view perspective, because it looks at the big picture, never at the individuals, because of course, the individual is the opposite sign, Leo. And also when you look at the time of the year when Aquarius is present, that's the coldest, most rigid, most unmovable period of the winter. It's nothing really exists. I mean, 500 years ago, when you looked at Europe, for instance, the great European plains, you saw nothing there, because everything living tried to go underneath and just try to hibernate and not go out, because your ears would fall off, or your nose would fall off of the cold. So that's Aquarius, pure energy, pure ideas, frozen and becoming rigid. So Pluto there could do two things: either completely disregarding for everything, because Aquarius changes the rigid structures, hierarchical structures of Capricorn. That's the answer given to these hierarchical energies of Capricorn. And when we move into Aquarius, these structures are being broken up. So the power structures of old systems, of old alliances, understanding, things that we thought appropriate and we thought that, yeah, this is the way to live, those can fall apart. And at the same time, we could have new ways and new structures that are coming into being. We will see. So it depends on us. I keep telling that astrology provides us with some sort of energy background, but what will happen is up to us, human beings. And don't forget that now we are close to 8 million, 8 billion. That's a huge amount of people. Of course, half of them are not even awake, but still it's a huge amount of people. There's no way they can supervise 8 billion people. They could manipulate and supervise us when we were only at 1.5 billion. Not now. So there is hope that we won't become playgrounds. Let's put it this way. So that's what's happening with Pluto. On the other hand, Mars will move into Cancer on March 25th. You can see how it moves, because then in 2 months it will move into to Leo. It's not going to be retrograde in the rest of the during the rest of the year of the civil year, and there will be an interesting conjunction on February 14th. Both planets will be in Aquarius and exactly conjunct on that day. We are going to look at the energy pattern once we get there. Hopefully we'll get there and the crazies won't blow up our planet. Let's hope. Anyhow, this is the exact time for London on March 23rd at 12:14 noon. And as you can see, the sun is on the midheaven, Pluto is on the descendant. Well, interesting, as it is just signifying. Actually, the ascendant descendant is still at the very, very end of Cancer Capricorn for London, but Pluto is already 0 degrees Aquarius. And what else you have here? The sun is at the midpoint of Mercury, Neptune. So you still have this hanky-panky between truth and illusion. It could mean that I uncover consciously, logically, what I glean esoterically or using not cerebral processes, but it could also mean the smoke screen. We still have the Chiron, Jupiter, Australia, Vesta conjunction there. The moon is interesting because it just crossed over Aries. Actually, it's an Aries moon, and Aries drastically altered outward circumstances is being highlighted and illuminated by the moon. And we still have the North Node, Juno, Venus conjunction. Juno is the first lady and also alliances. Venus is harmony and the lover and also money. So that's an interesting alliance to put it lightly. And then you have all sorts of energetic and also dissociate configurations. Let's take a look at them. This is what you have here, and I enumerated now the exact degrees. The sun is at 2 degrees 36, so it's actually the widest, but of course with the sun we allow a slightly wider orb as well. Saturn is at not yet 2 degrees, so it's also coming out of the exactness of the things around 0 degrees. Pluto just moved into Capricorn. Mars is at Gemini 29 degrees. Ceres went back into Virgo, so it's at 29:55, still retrograde, and Sedna has not yet crossed into the last degree of Taurus. With 1 minute so it's not yet energetic, but it's already dissociate. So let's take this a little bit apart. And of course, the ascendant, descendant are also there kind of, and again, also energetic because they are at the last degree. But with the ascendant and descendant, we don't have this, we don't say it's energetic, let's put it this way. I'm not going to go into this. If you want to, I can explain it later on, but let's focus on what we have here. We do have an energetic dissociate grand trine. Actually, it's actually a kite with the ascendant. The ascendant is still at Cancer. Ceres is at Virgo, so that is a sextile, properly working as a sextile. But the Ceres-Pluto trine is really a quincunx, Virgo and Aquarius. The Pluto Sedna trine is really a square, Taurus and Aquarius, and the Sedna Ceres trine is a trine because both are in earth signs. So that's one thing. And there's also this dissociate and a little bit tight, not tight, to my taste, it's a tiny little bit wide T-square with Mars at the apex. Mars is in Gemini. The sun is already in Aries, so that's a square with a sextile energy, and then the Mars-Ceres square is a mutable square, so that's there. And you have a number of other configurations, but these are the main structures. You have a couple of dissolved oppositions. There's also 2 angel wings here, so you can actually dissect the planetary picture if you want to. Here are the transcendental celestial objects. On the sun, you have Cerberus, the keeper of the gates of the underworld. Manver, one of the protagonists of the Silmarillion in Tolkien's novel, King of the Valars. And then Apkaitos, Beta Set, I'm going to show it to you again. Every time there is a prominent fixed star, I'm trying to look to show it a couple of times. In this way, you might learn it if you want to use fixed stars in your astrology, of course. On Mars, we have Chaos, and Chaos is the creator out of nothing, Bienor. Centaur, which belongs to the centaurs who want to excel, who want to be better than the rest of them. These half animal, half human beings are very much aware of their animal side. And they want to grow it out. They want to shine, they want to be beautiful or learned or talented. So the need to excel and to be better than what is due, that's what Bienor signifies. And Betelgeuse and Polaris are the two main stars still there. I'm going to show you again the drawing. On Saturn, you have Damocles, which is a Damocloid, which is one of the asteroids. By the way, again, the color coding is magenta is asteroids. They describe the personal karmic past or karmic traits. The blue ones are TNOs and centaurs. They describe karmic wounds and wounds around creation. And the red ones are fixed stars, which are not living in the solar system, outside the solar system. They are universal, and they describe higher dimensional worlds where we learn things in order to cope with things here down on the earth plane, and also to heal. We go down up there to heal. And Damocles is one of the Damocloids. One of those asteroids, there's a bunch of asteroids that are called Earth crossers, which means that they come very near the Earth, and they might actually hit us. So Damocles is one of them. And of course, it signifies a sword that is kind of above you and can fall and can kill you. So it's an impending danger that's on Saturn. Hermes, of course, the Greek version of Mercury, also lord of Hermetic sciences, which is magic, alchemy, and astrology. And also Shiva, she is the Slavonic or Slav love goddess. Amphitrite, who is Neptune's fiancée, a Nereid, and she first shuns the sea god because she is not sure what he wants. Either he wants to rape her, or but then Neptune tells her that he wants to marry her, and then she becomes the bride of Neptune. And Amphitrite suggests that sometimes we don't know what's down there in our own territory, because she actually manages to hide from the sea god at the bottom of the ocean. So it's that's the thing around Amphitrite. And Anif, which is Epsilon Pegasus, which actually is the mouth of the celestial horse, the winged horse. And it's also in Hungarian fairy and folk tales, we have this Taltos horse, which is a super horse and is able to speak, of course. So that's what it signifies. And on Pluto, you have Eros, which is an asteroid, and it's actually it signifies creation through desire, which is one of the strongest creative forces. And Orius, I told about Orius a couple of times. He is the great grandson of Ares, and although he is a man-eating centaur, he gets his punishment is mitigated, so he doesn't get what's due. He gets a lesser punishment. If you look around, this is exactly what you see with the world leaders. They either get away with murder, or they just they are being punished for something. It's so ridiculous, this international tribune that is trying to punish, trying to indict Putin. I mean, Russia is not even part of it. Neither is the United States, by the way. And okay, what about the other world leaders who committed whatever? I'm not even going in there because it's none of my business, but it's really ridiculous. That's what's happening. And on Ceres, you have Selene, the moon goddess, Osiris, the lord of the Egyptian underworld, Dionysus, altered states of consciousness, and again, the supergalactic center is still there. We discussed it. I do have a video on the supergalactic center. It is basically when it's prominent, it's 1 degree Libra at the moment, and you can allow for the key celestial areas about 2 degrees either side, and they signify karmic dilemmas, all of them. And with the supergalactic center, the karmic dilemma is nothing is ever enough. So that's when you have it prominent. And on Sedna, you still have the Pleiades, which will be there for at least 1.5 years. For the next 2 years, it's going to be there. And on the ascendant of the London chart, you have Virtus, virtues, and Hebe, the goddess of youth. And here are those two fixed stars. Deneb Kaitos, as you can see, is Beta Cetus, the celestial veil. And as Bernard Brady explained, I think the article was in 205 on the Starlight magazine, that there are so-called liminal spaces on the zodiac, on the zodiacal bed. Here ends one constellation, stars, and here comes another, and in between you have a hiatus, and this is a liminal space, and in this for these degrees, astrological degrees, any constellation that is under or below the zodiacal belt will overtake those degrees. And the veil, the celestial veil, is overtaking this portion of the zodiac, and the veil is the monster underneath the ocean, at the bottom of the ocean. What signifies the ocean? Of course, our emotions. So it is the turmoil that it lives, the monster that lives in our psyche. Menkar, the alpha star, provides you brilliant psychological traits, and Deneb Kaitos, the beta star, is signifies the healing word for the truly ugly and horrible unconscious thoughts and ideas that we all have underneath. And then here's Anif, which is the mouth of the celestial winged horse. As I said, it's the talking, it actually signifies truths that this celestial horse can tell us. And here's the Mars out of bounds, above the ecliptic. You can see it's at 25 degrees 36. So quite out of bounds. Whenever this happens, whenever you see an out of bounds planet in a natal chart, it signifies karmic wounds around extreme pain. And the world at the moment is in the state of extreme pain. Not just because of war and torture and suffering, but the whole world is in turmoil. Nothing is the same anymore. You can't be sure what will happen next day. Things that we believed in all of a sudden turn out to be not and of course our leaders are cretins, so that's the big problem. The European Union became the 52nd state of the United States. We are simply doing what the Americans tell us to do. We don't have a separate sovereign army or foreign policy or anything really, energy policy, nothing. We just do whatever the Americans tell us to do. Brilliant. So that's what you see here. And Mars is, of course, still aligned with Betelgeuse, which is Alpha Orion, and Polaris, which you will never have anything conjunct Polaris because it's the pole star. It will never, nothing can go up there. Okay. And then Mars is entering Cancer on March 25th. At 11:46 London, so barely 2 days are passing between the two ingresses. And in the previous chart, let's find the previous chart. Here this quincunx, really, if you consider it, Pluto is already in Aquarius, but Mars is still in Gemini. So this is a quincunx that has actually a trine energy pattern. And on the 25th, it's entering Cancer, and again you have a proper quincunx, of course. What is interesting is the fact that since both the Sun and Mercury were, of course, leaving for another 2 degrees, you still find the Sun at the midpoint of Mercury-Neptune, so it's still there. The Moon is already in Taurus, 2 days later, of course, and it creates a midpoint with Venus for Uranus. So Uranus is at the midpoint of Moon and Venus. The Moon is the mother, Venus is the lover, and the Uranus is actually the planet of change, disruption, chaos, anarchy, and also freedom. So what is happening in this moment, alliances, and also the way we are looking at these two feminine archetypes either bound to change or pushed into chaos. We will see. Venus-Juno is still conjunct. Of course, Venus is separating now from Juno. It's much faster. And we still have the Chiron, Jupiter, Vesta, Juno, and actually Mercury is coming up to the conjunction. So soon it will be part of the conjunction. It's already kind of there because it is barely 5 degrees from Chiron. And the dark moon Lilith is coming up to a conjunction with Mars, which just entered Cancer. Dark moon Lilith, of course, is the acceptance of the curse. And I did highlight here a structure with a trine, quincunx, and a semisextile, although I must say that the Pluto Saturn semisextile is a bit wide for my taste. But anyhow, and here are the celestial objects at 0 degree. As I explained, the 0 degree and the 1st degree of a sign is always very, very prominent, simply because whenever a planet enters into a new sign, it tries on a new garment and tries to test how it or he or she likes it. My pronouns are, okay, let's not get into pronouns anyhow, another idiocy. If you are defined by pronouns, I'm really sorry for you. Let's put it this way. If you can do it, just don't tell me how to do. Okay, please don't ever tell me what to do, because I want to live my life in a way that I choose to live. And I'm not telling you what to eat. I'm not telling you how to you call yourself. I'm not telling you if you are mutilating yourself or if you're killing your baby. It's up to you. Just don't tell me what to do either. Oh, that's all I ask. Anyhow, so the 0 degree is a testing energy. Whenever a planet moves into a new sign, it is testing it. Of course, the moon does it every 2 to 3 years, 3 days, sorry. So it's nothing happens there really. It's just, it puts on a different garment, and you can actually do different stuff around your garden or in your house. But with Pluto, it occurs every 20, 30 years, so it's always a big deal. And with Mars, it's not such a big deal because it happens every 2 months on average. But anyhow, it is really a testing energy when the planet wants to see what is happening in that sign. And what I did was I looked at any celestial object at 0 degrees of the sign. So this is what we have. In Aries, you have Minerva, the wisdom, the goddess of wisdom. In Taurus, you have Shiva. She is the destroyer of the Trimurti. So it's, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. And Shiva is the destroyer, which makes it possible to recreate something. That's what we have here. And Shiva at the moment is opposite Homer and Elatus. Two TNOs. Homer is the Hawaiian goddess of fertility. She's constantly renewing and regenerating and rejuvenating herself in order to deliver even more and more children. And Elatus is a centaur that is very, very proud of its own work and writing and talking abilities. And it has a very interesting, very curious karma linked to it, because whenever Elatus is prominent, you're very capable verbally or in writing, and you actually achieve everything you want because you can even bend the rules. So you are able to always win. This is how you feel. You feel invincible. And yeah, 9 times out of 10, you can get away without getting the ticket from the policeman. You can park at the wrong place and not get fined and things like that. But then the 10th occasion is a total disaster, and all of a sudden you can even find yourself in prison. So it's a funny TNO. Actually, it's a centaur, a true centaur. Homer is a TNO, Elatus is a centaur. And in Aquarius, you have Pluto, that just moved into Aquarius 2 days ago, and you have Babel, disruption, communication disruption, Eros, creation through desire, and then Aureus, we discussed this. But and Mars, of course, I didn't talk about Mars, sorry. And this is what we have here in Mars. We have Hecate, the dark moon goddess, Bienor, which is another centaur among the ones who want to excel, want to show much, they want to be better. This is what it has. And then Menkalian and Betelgeuse are the two stars prominent here. Menkalian is actually at 0 degrees Cancer, and Betelgeuse is at 2940 something. So it's in Gemini. So here is Menkalian, and I want to show you 2 pictures about this. The usual way to describe Auriga, the charioteer, is that in one hand he holds it. Okay, they usually say that these are 2 little goats, and this is mama goat trying to also escape with the charioteer. But here's another picture by Barry Lawrence Rudman, or Rudman, I don't know how to pronounce him, sorry, which indicates that the charioteer holds these 2 little animals, which are, by the way, lambs and not little goats. So they are lambs. And in the meanwhile, he's trying to save them, but in the meanwhile, a goat is hiding behind his back and trying to be also carried, rescued. And this is a very important message. And because every time you do something nice, every time you are virtue signaling, every time to do the right thing, okay, what famous actors tell you to do and what famous football players are telling you to do, that is an avenue for dark forces to get on your back and using your beneficial ideas and intentions to do horrible things. That's exactly what's happening now. Be careful. Okay, and there is a tweezer, a finger of fate and the dissolved opposition. This is almost the same, except here the sun is at 4 degrees Aries at the apex of the finger of fate. You have trans Pluto, which is channeling and downloading stuff up there, and also dimension jump, and the south node in Scorpio. And this whole finger of fate suggests, please pay attention to what is happening. Please try to uncover common knowledge that has been there for centuries, for millennia, because they are not changing. Just because you want different rules, the nature won't change. Nature will simply devour us if we don't pay attention to what the rules are truly. And then trans Pluto can download stuff from the egregore, or you can actually go up there and get understanding as well. And these are the transcendental objects. They are almost the same. On the sun, you have the goddess Justice. On the north node, you have Tisiphone and Nemesis, 2 dark goddesses, 2 punishers of hubris, quite interestingly. And Sheraton and Meshartim both are there. We will take a look at them. These are Beta and Gamma Aries. And on the south node, you still have Narcissus and Radamanthus of 2 days, 3 days ago. And on trans Pluto, you have Isis and Harmonia and Abundancia. We used to have Isis and Persephone. Now Persephone is no longer there. Instead, Harmonia to create harmony and Abundancia to create abundance are there. So this is what we need to download. We need to download those energies. We need to channel down those energies. And here's the constellation drawing of the constellation Aries. You see Hamal, the Alpha star, and Sheraton and Meshartim are very, very close by maybe 1 degree apart. And those 2 stars signify the change of an era. Meshartim was at the vernal equinox about 400 BC. And they called it the first star of Aries, and it signified a change in the era. And this is exactly what's happening now. We are in the changing period. It's not yet happening fully. It will happen by 2024, 25 sometime, and then we will see what happens at the EU election, of course, the Parliament, and we also will see what will happen in the United States. The changes will then be implemented then, but it's up to us. And this is what I keep telling you. we don't need to suffer through this. We can be co-creators of the new age. We can actually say what we think, and we can believe in our ways. And if you really believe in it, then you can make it happen. That's the essence of these sign changes. Let's hope that we are going to manage it. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.